What's up, y'all? It's your boy Marcus Frazier from Teachable Tuesday, here to motivate you, encourage you, and inspire you to be a better you. Thank you for joining me today. Greatly appreciate it. If you could, hit that like button, subscribe button, notification button in order to stay up to date with my future Teachable Tuesdays discussions, reels, and all that good stuff. I've been dropping a lot of content lately, so make sure you guys are checking out the videos, shorts, the reels, the discussions, all that good stuff. And if you're not subscribed, please make sure you do so. It's a lot of people that are watching the videos right now, and I appreciate your viewership. But you know what? Come and be a part of the community. Come on, subscribe. Make sure you stay up to date. All right? So today is going to be a short video, a short discussion, if you will. And we're going to be talking about the difference between non-negotiables and not meeting preferences. Or let me reverse that. Not meeting preferences versus non-negotiables. And the reason why I want to bring this up is because so many times when it comes to relationships that we have with people, especially romantic relationships, right? We kind of mix up the two, right? Everybody has their preferences. What does preferences mean? Preferences mean things that you would prefer in a partner. For example, you might like a guy who's tall. You might like a woman who's slim. You might like a guy who has a degree. You might like a woman who has a really good job. You might prefer a guy who is very hardworking and more so not on the scene as much. You might like a woman who is very much hardworking and not on the scene herself, right? Those are all preferences. Those are not non-negotiables. That means if there was a chance that somebody didn't check off those boxes, right? You would be okay with that to some degree, right? You'd be like, okay, they don't check off everything. I'm cool. I can manage. I'll give you an example. I'll use myself as a personal reference. So 3 preferences that I find in a woman. And this first preference has an asterisk next to it just because I'm open to dating any ethnicity. But my preference in dating has always been a black woman or a Hispanic woman. But I'm definitely open to dating any type of woman with any ethnicity as long as she loves God and respects me. You know what I'm saying? And again, that's a preference. That doesn't mean it's a non-negotiable. That means I can live without that. That's number 1. Number 2, my preference is a woman who is, has an ambitious mindset, right? And when I say ambitious mindset, I mean more so her mindset should match up with my ambition. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that's a non-negotiable. I get it because I'm a very hard worker. I get that from my father. But, you got to at least have a game plan. You know what I'm saying? And I would say my third preference is a woman that's my height or, shorter, right? Not saying I won't date a woman that's taller than me. Again, that's not a non-negotiable. I can live with a woman being taller than me. As my old pastor would say, I'll climb that giraffe. But you get what I'm saying, right? So those are my preferences. Now, let me give you a non-negotiable of mine. 2 non-negotiables. You ready? First non-negotiable. Someone who is, who communicates with their exes still. That is a non-negotiable for me. What does that mean? A non-negotiable is something that is not tolerable under any circumstances. It's not something that I'm willing to adjust to. It's not something I'm willing to move for. Preferences, if they don't meet your preferences, you can adjust, you can move for that. Non-negotiables, that means it ain't gonna happen under any circumstances. So number 1, my first non-negotiable is a woman that still communicates with her exes in any form or fashion. Won't do that. Because if you're still communicating with their ex, that means you still got feelings for them. And, some of y'all in the comments might disagree, but it's a fact. And if you don't got feelings for them, there's a certain piece that you're still holding on to. Because if that next man or that next woman really mattered, you would have left that person alone. Just saying, right? So that's number 1. Number 2, a woman who doesn't believe in God. All right? I can date, I'm a Christian. I can obviously date other Christians. I can date someone who's a Jew. I can also date someone who's a Muslim. Because at least even though we have 3 different viewpoints on God, there's that commonality to some degree, not all the way, but to some degree that God is in existence, right? I can't do it if you don't at least believe in God. You know what I'm saying? Regardless if you call him Allah, Yahweh, God, Abba, whatever. It just can't do it. You know what I'm saying? So that's just me. Again, non-negotiables. That is something you are not willing to adjust for under any circumstances. And I think everybody should have a non-negotiable or 2. but your non-negotiables need to be realistic. Notice how my non-negotiables are realistic for 2 reasons. Let's start with the X factor. I already explained that. My non-negotiable for X's, the reason why that's in place is because why am I still communicating with X's and I'm bringing somebody in the picture that I potentially see a future with? That's not fair to them. And not only that, but that individual might feel some type of way, and I want to be considerate of their feelings, you know? And the reason why my second one is a non-negotiable is because the Word of God talks about not being equally yoked, right? There's already different ways, even within the Christian faith, that you can meet other Christians and not be equally yoked. Imagine how that feels when you're meeting somebody that doesn't believe in God at all. Or even worse, they don't believe there's a God in existence under any circumstances. Just saying. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't work out for other people. If it worked out for you, kudos to you. I'm just saying for me, that's my non-negotiable. So again, the differences between preferences and non-negotiables is preference is what you want. Non-negotiables is what you are not willing to deal with, right? Somebody said your non-negotiables is pretty much not what you need, which is true. A lot of people also say preferences is pretty much what you need in a person. No, that's where people get it wrong. Some of your preferences will be needs, but you got to understand in life, not all of your needs are going to be met. But as I said in the previous video, I think I said in my video last week, if they check off about 80% of those preferences, you're fine. You know what I'm saying? I think you're good to go. But if they check off a box in that non-negotiable in terms of something you're not willing to put up with, walk away. Okay? So that's the main difference between preferences and non-negotiables. I think we have to work on distinguishing between the two a little better, because a lot of times we'll push somebody away because they don't meet all of our preferences. And instead, we need to be looking more so on the non-negotiable side. I always tell people, rule of thumb, if they check off the 80-20 rule, they check off at least 80% of those preferences, and the 20% is not on there, cool. And here's a little tip to help you out, right? And I'm going to end this video on this note. And I'll create a separate video for this that'll be a lot shorter. Make a list and give yourself 7 to 10. The reason I say 7 to 10 is because that should give you a little bit of a deeper scope. But try to aim for 10 if you can. Preferences that you have in a man or a woman. And again, if this a person that you're getting to know or people that you're getting to know, if they check off 80% of that list, keep them around. Shoot, I would even say 70% is a good number. Now, if it's half and half, do what you will. But if they check off one box on that non-negotiable list, meaning that it's not something I'm willing to deal with, I don't care if they check off the 80% in that preference, because that's another mistake that people make. They're like, oh, well, I have a non-negotiable, but they check off all my preferences. No, because at some point that non-negotiable is going to overpower anything that's on that preference list, because that non-negotiable ties into your morals and values, and it ties more so into your needs and your belief system as a human being and what you stand on, as opposed to the preferences where, again, my first preference was, you know, I prefer a woman that's African American or Hispanic, but I am perfectly fine with dating an Asian woman or a white woman, because, you know, at the end of the day, what God has for me is for me, and that's what I believe. I also said another one of my preferences was I want to date a woman that's my height or shorter. I am perfectly fine with a woman that's taller than me, because guess what? At the end of the day, if she loves God and she feminine and she caring and she got an ambitious mindset and she loves me, shoot, baby, you could be 6'5". That's okay. It don't matter. Okay, shut up, Marcus. Keep it clean. Keep it clean. But y'all get what I'm saying, right? So, yeah. But anyways, it's Marcus Frazier from Teachable Tuesday. Here to motivate you, encourage you, and inspire you to be a better you. I thank you for joining me today for this video. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. I'm going to make another video that's going to be a preference list. And I'm going to make like a fake preference list. It's not going to be mine. It's just going to be a little something to just kind of show you a little bit more insight onto what. So I guess I'll label this part 1. Look out for part 2, which will be a much, much shorter video. But yeah, until next time, love you guys. Take care of yourselves. Love somebody today. Peace.